In my country, we have two official languages. I'm in Canada, and we speak English and French officially, but we have many non-official languages because our country is a country of immigrants, and we have indigenous languages as well. In a series of videos, I want to talk about Canada's non-official languages, especially the languages of immigrants. And today we're going to talk about Punjabi, which is one of the most interesting languages you'll ever find. Let's talk about it. I was sitting in the park on the grass with my wife on a Saturday afternoon in Vancouver, and an older man was walking by, and he was wearing a turban and the clothing that I recognized as an Indian man, and I could tell he was Punjabi, so I decided I would try out my few words of Punjabi on him. And I said to him, "Sat Sri Akal ji," and he was so surprised to see a guy who looks white like me say something intelligible in his language. And he walked a little closer to us, and I said, "Ki tu hanu Punjabi aandi hai? Do you speak Punjabi?" And he said, "Yes," and he sat down on the grass with us, and his English was not perfect at all. So he sat on the grass beside us. At that time I had a really long beard, and it went down my chest and down to my tummy. And this guy sat beside me, and he was stroking my beard. He was quite a bit older than me. He was stroking my beard. He says, "You have such a nice beard." Punjabi men, Sikh men, the members of the Sikh religion, do not cut their beard or their hair. And so he was pretty impressed that I was a white guy with a proper beard. The Punjabi language is spoken by 130 million people in the world. It's one of the world's largest languages. I believe it's the 10th most widely spoken language in the world. It has many dialects, so in different areas it sounds a little bit different, but people can understand each other, maybe with a little difficulty. It is spoken in the northwestern part of India and the southeastern part of Pakistan, in an area they call the Punjab. And so that's the name of the language, Punjabi, which relates to five rivers. That's where the word Punjabi comes from, the 5 rivers of that area. In Canada, we have received many Punjabi people, especially at the beginning of the 20th century, when we had immigrants coming from all parts of the world, including my ancestors. On one side of my family, they came from Eastern Europe. Many Punjabi people came at that time. And these were hard-working people. A lot of them were farmers in India, and they did farming when they came to Canada, and some were very prosperous in their business. But hard-working people, and I would say, for the most part, a blessing to Canada. In Canada, we have over 500,000 people that speak Punjabi. And in the province where I live, in the westernmost province of Canada, there are over 200,000 people who speak Punjabi. So it's a really big language. Punjabi is a member of the Indo-European family of languages. This is a great big sort of macro family, the larger group of families, really, of languages. But it's in the same family of languages as English is. And the languages that we know from Europe, and many of the languages in India, and Farsi or Persian is also an Indo-European language. These are all part of the same language family. So Punjabi is not a complete unknown to English-speaking people. We can make sense of this language. There are 2 main writing systems for Punjabi. One of them is called Gurmukhi, and the other one is called Shahmukhi. Gurmukhi is the writing system that is used by most Punjabi speakers from India. And it is the writing system, and because Punjabi is the language of most of the Sikh scriptures, and it's written with this writing system. And that's what you'll see when you see Punjabi written on street signs and on stores and so on in Canada. It's probably going to be written in Gurmukhi. The other system is called Shahmukhi, which is what is used by the Muslim people who speak Punjabi in Pakistan, and it's based on the Arabic script. The Punjabi language in Pakistan and India are the same language, but there's little differences influenced especially by religion and by tradition, but everybody can talk to one another. When you hear people speaking English whose first language was Punjabi, you'll hear certain sounds that tell us something about this interesting language. Punjabi has something called Retroflex Consonants, and these are letters where your tongue goes back in your mouth, and you'll hear letters like R and N, and these are R and N, but with the tongue folded back a little bit. I never quite do it accurately, but, you know, better than most white people, so don't give me a hard time. The retroflex consonants are distinctive, and we recognize them right away as something that you'd hear in Hindi and other Indian languages, but this is part of Punjabi. Punjabi language has a close relationship with the Sikh religion. As I mentioned, the Sikh scriptures are written mostly in Punjabi, and so the language is peppered with the influences of Sikh religion. When you say hi to somebody in Punjabi, you can say namaste, which is just a very common generic greeting. You can even use English, hello, and then you tack on the word G, which just makes it a little bit polite. Hello, G. You'll hear something that, you know, straight up English. But the Sikh people will greet each other with Sat Sri Akal, which means true is the timeless one, or truth is timeless. And so this shows the relationship between the Sikh religion and the Punjabi language. Punjabi men can be recognized by 5 symbols of their devotion to their faith. One of them is the hair. They don't cut their hair and they don't cut their beard. They also wear a certain kind of undergarment, which is, at least in part, symbolic of sexual purity and a reminder to behave in a moral way. They have a wooden comb, and I don't really understand the use of that, but it's one of the symbols of a religious Sikh Punjabi. Another one is the iron bracelet. So if you see somebody with a turban and the iron bracelet, they're probably Sikhs. The iron bracelet is a symbol of being a servant of God. Servants wear bracelets. And the 5th symbol of a devoted Sikh man is something called a kirpan. In times gone by, a kirpan was actually a great big sword, great big fighting sword. When you see men in Canada who are wearing all the symbols of their faith, they're not generally walking around with great big dangerous fighting swords, but they will have a little symbolic sword, symbolic of defending the truth and defending the faith. You could learn the Punjabi language, especially if you get to know Punjabi people. People talk about how do you stay motivated in learning a language. If you love the people, you'll just want to learn the language. You know, a guy will fall in love with a Punjabi girl, all of a sudden he's a linguist. It's brilliant. If you can learn to enjoy the people, you enjoy the food. It's usually how they get English people drawn into Punjabi culture. Really good food. If you can enjoy that, you can learn the language. It's not an impossible language to learn. The Gurmukhi script will be a challenge for you. You'll have to work at that a little bit. Another problem that you'll have as an English-speaking person is distinguishing between 2 different sounds that to our English ears sound the same, but a Punjabi will hear the difference. If you're a bit of a linguist, you'll know what I mean when we talk about aspirated and unaspirated consonants. So Punjabi makes this distinction. So there's 2 different versions of the letter T and you know, other letters. For English people, it's very hard for us to get that exactly right. But you could learn Punjabi. There are some great courses. Pimsleur makes an audio course. Pimsleur is Pimsleur. They make an audio course for Punjabi. There are some good textbooks, and they have audio CDs or downloads that you can get with them for to hear the dialogues. One of them is called Teach Yourself Punjabi, and another one is called Colloquial Punjabi. So you can learn these languages and this language, and you'll have fun doing it. And the best part, the great reward of learning a bit of Punjabi, is entering into the culture and meeting a wonderful bunch of people. Talk to you again soon.